Side, West Side, worldwide. Welcome to Story Time with OGLA Ron. Please don't forget to smash the like button, comments, go to the website, and don't forget to get that merch. Today, I want to do a piece on a guy that I met him and his brother inside of the feds. His name is Border Rat, Inglewood family bloods. Border Rat is like an uncle to me. I ended up running into Border Rat in Victor and in Atwater. And while I was in Atwater, I was on the yard one day, and a guy named E from Mansfield, he said, "Hey man, you ever heard of a guy named Border Rat?" I say, yeah and no. I haven't met him, but I know about him and some of his family members. And we used to always walk around the yard, and I used to always see Border Rat walking around inside of the yard talking to guys. And then one day, E say, "Man, I say, E, would you introduce me to Border Rat? I heard a lot about him. I seen a guy that say he's Border Rat's brother, and I didn't know Border Rat was a twin, and he have a twin, a brother that's I think he lives in D.C., but he was showing me some pictures after later on I met him. And Border Rat used to always come down to the chapel. He would come there to see who was in there preaching. Big Skibo being there sometime, Pastor Mike, me, a few other guys, we would be in there, and Border Rat would come in there, and he would divide his time up on, the different services just to give brother support, and always liked it the way, he represented himself. Always liked it the way Border Rat conduct business, and always liked it the way Border Rat was talk about good issues, and he was always a brother that was always giving you good advice and good topics on when he was in YA, when he was in YA with Raymond Washington. He was in YA with a lot of the guys from LA, the East Side, West Side, and he used to, he knew the guys from Pasadena real good. Border Rat just know a whole bunch of guys, and as I got to know Border Rat, he was always a fishman. Hit me with some of that, one of them sermons or something like that, the topic of the sermon, and I would always give him a topic. But I didn't know that this guy, who he really was for a long time. And then when I really got to meet Border Rat, we started talking. He was asking me, "Hey man, where you been? What prisons you been to?" Well, I say, "Hey, Border Rat, I've been to, I started off at Terry Hut, then I went to Atlanta, and then I went to Lompoc, then I went to Pollock, then I went to Atwater, where I'm here with you." And I was there with him, and he was like, "Hey man, my brother was in Lompoc." I say, "Your brother was in Lompoc?" I said, "I was in Lompoc, man, from 97 to 2001. And he say, "Yeah, my brother the one got into it with the dude in the kitchen." So I'm trying to figure out who is he talking about, or what is he talking about. So he said, "Yeah, man, my brother got the perm. My brother named Salty." I say, "Man, I know Salty. Man, I know Salty. He be going to the more science service and stuff like that." He said, "Yeah, that's my brother." I'm like, "Man, I've been knowing Salty." He said, "Man, was you in the kitchen when Salty had to put down a demonstration, things like that?" I said, "Yeah, I was in there, man." He said, "Was you really there?" I'm like, yeah. He said, "What happened?" I say, "Man, it's a long story, bro, but your brother handled his business. Your brother always been cool with me. Your brother always carried himself real cool and everything. He was always a good dude. And, a lot of us was in that federal prison, man. We wasn't in there trying to be, all of these different ranks and all that. We was just trying to get out of jail. We was trying to do our time, and we was minding our own business. But every now and then, it'd be a conflict, and people have to handle their business. And you know what I'm saying. And sometimes your brothers or guys in your clique, they be wanting to know exactly what happened. So I was like, "Look, man, your brother got into it with some guys, man, and he handled his business, and that was over with. But I ended up being in two joints with Border Rat's brother, and it's like I didn't make no relationships with guys because I knew they brothers. I just was making relationships with guys with that I knew that was doing time, that knew I had a life sentence, and they knew that I was from LA, and they knew that eventually, we would get out, or well, pray to get out of jail. And I had actually seen Salty. We was in Pollock together too. And Salty was doing the same. He was doing pretty much the same, the thing he was doing in Lompoc, minding his business. You know what I'm saying? Hanging out with the guys he hanging with. I think Salty from Inglewood family too. But I really didn't know that was his brother back then. But years later, when I seen that I had already, knew Salty, and I knew that when I used to play baseball up there, he used to come up there. What's up, Fish? We was always kind of cool because, guys from LA, we always have a rapport with each other. And I would always talk to Salt, about different things. When I see him in traffic, I would always say, what's up? Sometimes I would go in their units because I worked at CMS. And Salty always had the flyest perm I ever seen in the feds. And he kept his perm up and everything like that. Salty, man, he was just, mind his business. But come to find out that I didn't know Salty was a kingpin. Until one day they was chopping it up, and he was telling this other guy that they dug up his front yard, his backyard, and they found millions of dollars. So when you talk about these guys, man, these guys from Inglewood and these guys that like Salty and Border Rat actually has a big name in Inglewood, and I think that Border Rat have a hood day, like his own day in Inglewood, and I also know that Border Rat also has a day in Texas somewhere with the Inglewood families. But man, just to know this guy and to be able to be in the presence of these guys, man, is crazy, because you take a liking to these guys. And I had heard about Border Rat, but I didn't know that Saul was brother. But years later, when I hear about what Border Rat represented and what Border Rat was a part of, now I see I really wanted to do a piece on Border Rat, because the guy that introduced me to Border Rat, he always was talking highly of Border Rat. He was like, yeah, man, this dude from Inglewood family. And I was like, all right, man, I done met a lot of guys from Inglewood, but Border Rat, he's staying under the radar. He was trying to get out of trouble. And when you really get to meet Border Rat, and you really get to talk to him, he really tells you, a little bit about his life. His name's, I think it's Ronald and Donald, because, my name is Ronald too. So we was kind of always talking, and we was kind of always, he was telling me about his daughter. He was telling me about his brothers and, his twin. And man, just to really, know these guys on first name basis. And sometimes you don't really know exactly who you around, because I done been around Ray and Rodney and all these guys. And then when you find out, you hear these stories about them, then you end up meeting them, then you end up being on the same yard with them. Then you understand, who these guys is. But this guy was a sleeper to me, but he's not a sleeper to Inglewood. And I just wanted to be able to tell his story, that I know Border Rat personally, that I did time with him and his brother. And I know that now, since I got out and I went through the system, as I went through the system later on, and these names came up, now you put them in perspective, you put them in order. Now I get to see exactly who this guy is, where he came from, and what he represent. And when you mention Inglewood, you always you got to mention Border Rat name, and you got to mention Inglewood family, because a lot of times, a lot of people didn't know it wasn't that many Crip sets inside of Inglewood, but it is. But it's not a lot, but it is some Crip sets. But Border Rat, Inglewood family, they kind of like big in Inglewood. And I'm just glad to be able to talk about Border Rat. He always was like an uncle to me. And ever since I met him, we always been cool. And just to talk about, having your own day inside of Inglewood, of Inglewood family. It's not like, he just take over everything. But this is what give honor what honor is due. And this is one of the things that, as I got older, when I figured out who this guy was, I see, how he moved, and I see how exactly why they say certain things about Border Rat, and I see why you will want to celebrate a guy like this, because this guy have a brilliant mind. He's a genius, and he's been through all of the court systems, and he's been through all of the federal state systems, and he know from juvenile all the way up to the feds. And this guy is one of the smartest guys I ever met. Border rat, Inglewood family.